All right, my G's, this is nothing conceptually new, but I love talking about hi-hats, so why not, right? Um, Here is how you can transform a single hi-hat one-shot that you're using into something a bit more natural, less robotic, in the easiest and best way, you know? So you've got a kick and a snare and a hi-hat kind of groove going on. You've found this one hi-hat sample that you like. You think it fits quite well. But yeah, the problem is the repetitive aspect of it. So my favorite plugin for this job that I really like to use now is actually this free plugin by 23DSP, the 23 tape. I made a video about it recently, but it's a great tool to use exactly for this kind of job. And you can basically turn up the wow and the flutter to get a bit of a pitch kind of movement going on. And then you can use the imperfections and the age as well to add like extra subtle random adjustments. Some deterioration. And now it's quite subtle, but it's actually not either. You know, it really sounds so much nicer to me, so much more natural. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and bounce it out once I've done that. And then that whole, single hi-hat one shot that was looped, that was super repetitive before, it now has these like slight pitch changes and these slight sort of parts where the hi-hat deteriorates slightly and it's like kind of slightly different always, But it's just like in the perfect amount, it's not like if you use like a chorus or something, you might lose a bit of the hi-hat. It might become a bit too wide. There's other ways to do this, but I just find that this is like the kind of sweet spot in the sort of technique where you can get just enough of that realism and movement into a hat, one shot, just enough of it, but not overwhelm it. And it's kind of the perfect balance, So obviously, if you think about like a real drummer, like when you're recording like a real live drum kit, playing a hi-hat, every time that drummer hits the hi-hat, the sound is going to be slightly different because it kind of depends like where he hits the hi-hat, with what velocity, which part of his drumstick, and how the microphone is going to like pick that up every time might be slightly different as well. So there's all these little things that will make it realistic in real life recording a hi-hat. But like with music production, when you're using like one shots, then you completely lose that realistic feeling in your drums always, So you have to put that realism back into it, one way or another. And this is just the fastest and easiest way to do it because the tape, like it's always random across the whole thing, which is kind of like what it's like in real life. So it's just like it's the perfect way to get things slightly random throughout the whole like progression of the hi-hat, In this case, if I wanted to mix this hi-hat in a little bit better with my kick and snare, the next thing I would simply do would be to soften the transient a little bit here, Just by knocking that transient down a bit in volume, it allows the kick and snare to cut through a bit clearer, And I guess you could kind of like think about this in terms of if you're recording a drummer, you may have like the hi-hat kind of microphone a bit further away from the hi-hat or a bit kind of lower in volume, whereas you might have the kick and the snare like a bit closer to the microphone or a bit louder. So yeah, you'll get, that punch of the kick and the snare will come through, nice and loudly, and the hi-hat will just be an addition, it'll complement it, but it won't sort of interrupt the clarity of the kick and snare, So that's kind of how I would, kind of perceive, what I'm doing here with the transient shaper, making sure that hi-hat's like slightly behind the kick and snare still and not overtaking it, But yeah, that's just a little mixing thing that you can do as well. But the key thing is really super simple video today. Again, nice and easy and quick little tip. But I just believe that after years of experience, having like just running a tape, especially that 23 tape, which sounds really, really good. Just running that over anything where you're doing one shots is going to just naturally give you that like more realistic sound, you know? So a little tip for you guys today. Let me know if you've tried it. I know there's a lot of other great tape plugins out there as well, but this one's great. It's free. I think it's relatively new. I would highly recommend it if you need one. So yeah, leave a comment down below if that helped you out, and make sure you like and subscribe as well. And thanks for watching. Big ups to everyone on the channel. Really appreciate all of you guys over here. And yeah, much love to you guys. Check out the links down in my videos as well. You can find links to preset packs for Serum, Vital, Faceplant and Current. Come along and join me on Patreon. Have a great community there. Some free downloads and samples and drops and stuff on the Patreon platform. You can already join for free. But if you want to upgrade to the Discord tier, get in there and talk with all the other members, have daily chats, get feedback on your tracks, join our feedback live streams, and there's loads of great stuff you can do in the Discord. Finally, also, if you need one-on-one production advice, hit me up for a lesson. And you can also send me an email if you need any more information about the lessons, or send me an email if you need any mixing and mastering work done. All right, that's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.